Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix. I am the Reverend Christine Dance, and I am honored to serve as the minister of this congregation, and my pronouns are she and her. Welcome to our service. In this sacred space, we celebrate our humanity, our diversity, and the boundless love that unites us all. The Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix strives to be a spiritual community for our time, one that is theologically diverse, radically inclusive, and justice-centered. Our doors swing wide to embrace all who seek a welcoming place. May our worship today be a source of inspiration, a comfort in challenging times, and a call to action. If you are new here, a hearty welcome to you. If this is your first or second Sunday, can you give us a wave? Welcome. Oh, welcome. Wonderful. And for some people, the day after Halloween is happy because they can start thinking about Christmas. But November for me means that some of our snowbirds start coming back. If you have come back in the last several weeks from living someplace else when it is a hellscape here, can you please stand so we can welcome you back home? It is the happiest thing to see your faces at the front door and see you walking back in. Welcome back home. If you are new, please come back each week. Our services are different each week, and this month you're either going to love this series or not. This week is the first in a series I've wanted to do a long time. It is one about healthy sexuality. More and more in our culture, healthy intimacy is one that is seen as shameful, something to be hidden, or taboo. This has been true in most times in our history, but we are seeing a resurgence of it with the increasing of conservative politics and ideology grounded in misogyny, patriarchy, and homophobia. We talk about so many ways here of being human, our morals, our perfectionism, our ways of being in community relationship, and our ideals. And healthy connection with another human is just another way of talking about that. We pride ourselves here at UUCP and at UU congregations across the country in offering age-appropriate, our whole lives healthy sexuality curriculum for youth as young as 6 and as old as you want. I'm hoping that we can introduce the new OWL for seniors sometime soon in the next year. Basically, in places where other faiths have shame, I believe that it is our duty as Unitarian Universalists to lift it up and look at it and remove the shame. We do strive to be inclusive in our congregation and to have things accessible for all ages. So I want you to know what this series is going to look like. First of all, in none of the services will we actually be talking about any acts of sex. We encourage you to have those conversations at home with your children and to participate in our whole lives. Today, we are talking about how sex and sexuality have been talked about in holy scriptures of several different world religions, what they actually say, how they've been misinterpreted, and where we want to shine a light on the positive messages. There is nothing about actual acts today. However, if you have never answered the question, what is sex in your household, it is possible that you may get that question. Next, that was supposed to be funny. Okay, thank you. Next week, we are going to be talking about how, as people who value pluralism, respecting many different beliefs, can still be closed off to different expressions of consensual intimacy. We're going to be doing some general sharing of the nature of those relations, but not the specifics of how those encounters happen. The third is on how different generations view sex, depending on how old you were when the AIDS crisis happened. I know, right? Fascinating. We're going to reflect on how it changed how we thought about it and how we speak about it, whether from how we talk about it out loud or in secret, how we consider it to be dangerous or not. I think it's going to be a fascinating exploration. And the fourth week, the topic is grounded in disability theology. And this is really a callback to a service I got a lot of feedback on a year or so ago. Many people that don't think of disabled folks as being sexual beings, and that can take away from us seeing them as whole and holy human beings. Conversely, some groups of people are seen too much as sexual beings, which also skews our sense of them as humans. So if you have any questions about these, wondering if they're appropriate for yourself or for your family, please feel free to reach out to me in advance. I hope this series expands your thinking, broadens your horizons and your heart, and it helps to round out your definitions of yours and others' holy humanity. Welcome to worship.
I'm Benji Messer, our music director here. I use he, him pronouns. We normally only have orchestra with our choir on big special services like Christmas Eve, but it's a real treat. We have a bunch of folks who are very enthusiastic about playing this year, and so we get to kick off this service with some very special music. Don't be offended if I face them to conduct instead of you. I do want you to sing along. We open with a song of love and commitment that's in the biblical book of Ruth. After Ruth's husband dies, she pledges herself for life to her mother-in-law, Naomi. And she uses the lyrics of this song. These are her words. Where you go, I will go. Your people will be my people. And your God will be my God. So please rise in body or spirit, and let's sing together.
Join me as we recite our covenant and Jennifer Davies lights our chalice. If you're watching remotely and have a chalice with you, please light it with us. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to share our strength in fellowship, thus do we covenant.
While you are still standing, can you turn around and smile at your neighbor, welcome them with your friendly faces, and can we also wave and say hello to our folks on Zoom? Hello, Zoomies. We are so glad to have you. Okay, you may be seated. I have a few announcements. In the life of our community. Next week is the Phoenix Marathon 5K and 10K. For the first time, there is a marathon, and guess where it's going? Yep, right down Lincoln Drive. So Lincoln will be open with one lane going both ways, okay? So you can still get here, but please know that only one lane will be open, and maybe leave just a few minutes early, or just catch up with us later in the service. It's all good. Starting Point, we had almost a dozen people yesterday, and it was so fun. Starting Point is one of my favorite things that we do in our years, where we welcome and we get to know each other and we talk about Unitarian Universalism and UUCP. We will be welcoming new members on Sunday, December 7th. If you are interested in becoming a member of the congregation but didn't participate in Starting Point, you can still do that. Please reach out to membership at Phoenix UU or myself. It's very excited about new members. 1 week from today, on November 9th, stay after the service for a Save Our Schools Arizona presentation by Kim St. Clair here in the sanctuary. She will be calling for urgent action that we can take on vouchers and legislative community. And I want to acknowledge, because many of you reached out to me this week about SNAP benefits and what we can do in our community and what can we do in this community and the wider community. Number of folks will be losing their access to food. That a country like the United States can have people go hungry is a travesty. I highly recommend you donating to your food banks if you're not already involved. $1 with them can purchase like $20 of food, versus dropping off the canned food that you haven't eaten in 2 years just means they need more volunteer hours to process it. They are in urgent and really challenging place. But if anyone in this community is food insecure, please come to me. That is exactly what our ministerial discretionary fund is for. I have already spent some money from it for some folks, and I also welcome donations for it if that's a way that you want to help out in this community. And now I would like to invite John Palumbo up for a special announcement.
Good morning, I'm John Palumbo, and I am your stewardship chair. This year, when we completed our pledge campaign, we fell short of our goal. The UU Foundation of Phoenix has pledged to cover the difference. However, we want to avoid calling on the foundation, if possible, because it takes away from our future security of the congregation. Last week, I invited John La Barbera up here to speak about what UUCP meant to him and his family. And this week, I'm taking the opportunity to tell you what it means to me and my family. What I love about UUCP is that it has been there for me at the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. When I was in a dark place and I needed to speak to someone, I spoke to Reverend Christine. And although no problems were solved that night, it did help me moving forward to deal with the situation I was in. And every Sunday, that's like the one day of the week that I get up eager to go. I wake up excited to come here and be with this community, to hear the amazing words of the sermon, and also to just share with the community. I don't know where I would be in this world today without UUCP. So to help make up the gap in our funding, we are calling on you, the UUCP community, and thanks to the generous pledges of our lead donors, anything you pledge will be doubled. To increase your pledge or make a new pledge, you can come see me at the back table after service. Need to go home and think about it? We've got you covered. Grab one of our business cards or go to the website or send us an email at stewardship@phoenixuu.org when you're ready to pledge the information. So I ask you again, what is UUCP worth to you?
Stay up here. I invite you now to take a deep breath, settle into your seats, and let us draw deeper into the present moment and into the spirit of our worship.
Our opening words are from the Song of Solomon, which is from chapter 7, verse 1 through 6. This is from the Old Testament of the Christian Bible, which is also the Torah from the Jewish tradition. How beautiful are thy feet with shoes, O prince's daughter! The joints of thy thighs are like jewels, the work of the hands of a cunning workman. Thy navel is like a round goblet, which wanteth not liquor. Thy belly is like an heap of wheat, so set about with lilies. Thy two breasts are like two young roes that are twins. Thy neck is a tower of ivory. Thine eyes like the fish pools in Heshbon by the gate of Bath-rabbim. Thy nose is as the tower of Lebanon, which looketh toward Damascus. Thy head upon thee is like caramel, and the hair of thine head like purple. The king is held in the galleries. How fair and how pleasant art thou, O love, for delights. I now invite anyone who would like to come forward for together time.
Hello and welcome. Happy birthday, you guys. Yes. And are those your Halloween costumes? Or are they different costumes from different times of Halloween? I love the outfits. And you wore your Halloween costumes last week too, right? I am so thrilled with that. That makes me so happy. Hello, everyone. Yeah, we've got some other Halloween costumes. I think costumes are good anytime. So I've got a little bit of a show and tell for Together Time. Who likes show and tell? Good, I do too. So here's some show, and maybe we'll have a little talk too. Today we are going to be talking about a whole bunch of different religions and what they tell us about being close with each other. Okay? So, I mean, you can, we'll just light it again. But, so who knows the name of another religion, a world religion that a lot of people might worship? Does anyone know of any? Yes. You know, does your mom know it? Yeah? Yeah? That's okay, that's what we do here. Does anyone know? Has anyone heard about Christianity? Yeah? Anyone, have you all ever heard about Christianity? Okay. Has anyone heard about Judaism? Yeah. What about Islam? Yeah. Um, we're going to talk a little bit about Hinduism today. Yeah. So some of these have some holy words. So not all of them. So some of them have words that some people believe come right from God or that were inspired by God and are written down, and people of those religions believe and use that as their kind of template for what to believe. So does anyone know what this is? Kind of have to see it on there. It is a book. That is correct. It is called the Holy Bible. And do you know what religion this comes from? Yeah. It does. It comes from Christianity. So I'm going to pass this around if any of you want to look at it. And yesterday at Starting Point, we had a fascinating discussion that in some of the Holy Bibles, the ones that could afford to pay for two-color printing, the words of Jesus that they say that he actually said are in red. And there's being a lot of focus right now in the red letter words because how we are acting in this country supposedly around Christianity, very little of it has to do with what Jesus was purported to say. So that is in that one. So this one is called the Torah. What religion is this from? Yeah. Judaism, very good. You really know this very well. And yeah, Maeve, can you come here and help me with this one? Because one of the things that's really interesting about the Torah is that you read it the opposite way of how we in the West read books. So this is the front. Why don't you stand this way and show folks, if you're okay with that. That way, then they'll be able to see it too. So do that, but then you open it this way. So what we normally think of as back to front in the Torah is front to back. Isn't that interesting? Did any of you not know that before? Yeah, excellent, very cool. And you also read it from right to left instead of left to right. Thank you, Maeve. Thank you for that demonstration. Excellent, you can pass that around if you want. And then this is called the Quran. Does anyone know what faith the Quran is from? Yes, yes. Do you? No, we don't. But we could talk about our costume and how cool it is. Go ahead, Maeve, you've been batting 100. Yes, it's for folks who are Muslim when the religion is called Islam. So the Quran is small. This is actually one where it is the newest scripture book, and it was written, so they say, by the Prophet Muhammad, and we say, blessed be his name after we say his name. And he knew how to write, so we actually think this was actually written by him. If any of you get the chance to read the Quran, it is poetic. It is absolutely beautifully written, and I'll pass that around to you. So we're going to be talking about some of these religions today, but also we were talking about Bibles yesterday, and Miss Chris has a very special Bible that she brought for us. And do you want to tell us about it? Hold on.
Okay. This Bible came from Sweden, probably around 1870, when my great-grandparents arrived on a very small boat and made their way to Minnesota. It's got names in it that don't belong to anybody in my family. and it's got lots of marks on it. It's a dirty book. It's a dirty book because it's got schmutz all over it. Yeah,
that a
all right?
Swedish
No, schmutz is Yiddish.
When was the Bible, when was this Bible, when was it published?
It was published in 1867, which is a very long time ago, very, very long time ago. So it came on a boat with my great-grandfather and his family, and it's lived in Minnesota for a long time, and then my mom gave it to me when I was maybe 40. I can't read very much of it, but I opened it to find a place that wasn't dirty, and I came across Ruth's book. And now I've lost it again.
That's okay.
Found the words about where you go, I will go.
What a beautiful tie-in. Thank you so much, Miss Chris, for bringing that in.
Scandinavian countries are known for very decorative ornamentation of their books. So this is a leather binding. Not all books are made with leather bindings anymore. Some Bibles are, but I want you to kind of look at the interesting engraving there, and you can look in this schmutzy book, all right? It's absolutely fine. See, I don't know what they were doing. They dribbled their food like I do sometimes on library books, but all right.
Thank you. So those are we're going to be talking about what some of these books actually say about connection. But I also wanted to show you something else that I've got. Does anyone like my stole today? You love this stole, right? So I want to tell you the story of this stole because it was a very special gift. And when they gave it to me, they said, please tell the story of it before. Do you remember the stole or the story, Maeve? No, what? Of the war? Yes. It looks like the word roses, huh? Yeah, it's really beautiful. And I'll walk around and you can look at it. This is cross stitch, and it was handmade, and a single person made every single cross on it within the crosses. So these are called Jerusalem crosses. They are a form of the Christian cross, and they have kind of mini crosses within them. Some people say the 4 sides are for the 4 apostles that are in the Bible. Some say that there's 5 points for the 5 wounds of Jesus. But either way, this is very well known as the Christian cross in Jerusalem. And the reason I wanted to tell you about that, because as in 2022, I got to go to Israel and Palestine, and I was in Jerusalem and the West Bank of Palestine. So it's a very, very holy place. It is a place where Christians and Jews and Muslims consider one of the holiest places in their religion, and all 3 of them claim that place. Now, what you might not know is that the majority of the Christians who live in that area are Palestinian. So about 10% of Palestinians are actually Christians. And we had dinner with a bunch of them, and they gave all of us who were clergy one of these stoles. And what they wanted us to do is come back, and they said, please wear it, and please tell the story, and please tell people that we're here. Please tell them that, A, there's Christians in Palestine, but also Palestine is locked up, and tell them about what it is. Now, this was in 2022. There's been a lot happening there since then, and that situation is far worse. I often wonder about the people we had dinner with, and I wonder how they are and how their lives have changed. Are they still alive? What has happened to their families? So as I wear this, it is both a gift, it is a reminder, and I see it as a prayer to wear this stole for the Palestinian people and people of all faiths. And that's part of what we're going to be honoring today. So thank you for our little show and tell. I appreciate it. Whoever's got the books, if you want to put them right up here, and you all enjoy the rest of the service. Thank you very much.
Each week, we split our offering between the congregation and an organization that shares our values. For November, our Share the Plate partner is Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, or UUSC. UUSC advances human rights and social justice around the world, partnering with those who confront unjust power structures and mobilizing to challenge oppressive policies. Their work is grounded in the belief that all people have inherent power and dignity. For all that you give, we are so grateful. Ushers, thank you for your willing hands in helping us pass the plate.
No. We recognize that our lives are interconnected. Part of our journey as a community is sharing our significant milestones, joys, and sorrows. If you are on Zoom, please put a note in the chat. If you're in person and want us to read your joy or sorrow next week, there are cards in the table where the candle is, right there at the small table in the back of the sanctuary. Today, I have several. I want to start acknowledging that sometimes when you are sick or in the hospital, everyone finding out that you're there is not helpful. And that sometimes in order to heal, it is good to say, let's not have everyone text me right now. And we have someone in the hospital that falls into that category right now, but we can still send love and energy. Can we just a really big, and I am hoping that these folks feel all of our love going towards them. Thank you. From Jillian. Jillian, can you raise your hand? Yeah, thank you, Jillian. Jillian says, please pray for our dear friends, the Scalina family, whose son suffered a burst aneurysm on Halloween. He is at Phoenix Children's and is not expected to live, though his organs will be donated. A GoFundMe has been set up for the family, and you can see Jillian after service. And on the other side of the cycle of life, Paige and Ray, can you raise your hands? There's Paige and Ray right there. Paige and Ray say, after 2 years of IVF, we are pregnant. And they are celebrating being 4 months pregnant today. Congratulations, may it be a magical time full of support and good expectations. From Holly. Holly, yes, right there. Holly says that she received a job offer last week and starts on November 10th. Congratulations, Holly. And M. Nibley, yes, right there. M says, I finally reached A1 fluency in German after learning for 4 years. It may be the lowest level of fluency, but it's a big win for me. Congratulations, M. And Kathy Kopak is right back there, says, last Sunday, my 24-year-old granddaughter ran in the Marine Corps Marathon in Washington, D.C. Her time was 4 hours, 11 minutes, and 13 seconds. More power to her. And I don't see anything else on Zoom, so for all of our joys and sorrows, those who are named and those that are held in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts, let us draw closer to each other, care for each other, and recognize how much we need each other. I invite you to a time of meditation and prayer. For many of us, this is the one time in the week that we settle our bodies and be in this prayerful mindset. Go ahead and notice in your body what needs attention. Take a few breaths and be here in this moment. And I am adding from Zoom Bonnie Frazier, who is finally recovering from COVID, and we're just going to keep her in our prayers as well. Our prayer today is from the Reverend Douglas Taylor, the minister of the UU congregation in Binghamton, New York. Spirit of life, gracious and loving God, however we define it, from whom all things come to and from whom all things return, we gather on the edge of another week, and for some of us, on the edge of our strength. We come buoyed by events of our week, or weighed down by them, or we arrive in some paradoxical mix thereof. We are here in our Sunday assembly of hope and restoration, At times, we come weary and worn down, and for some, that is how we arrive today. At other times, we come with questions, or with a longing, or with something to offer. But for those who come today shattered, or broken, or lonely, or lost, let us offer our prayer of resilience. Again, this week we test the tender places in our hearts and in our lives to see what healing may occur. Gratitude is often a source of healing. We give thanks for the landscapes of grace in our lives, for music and good companions, for the guidance of great principles and values, and the examples of integrity all around us. We give thanks for all that lifts us up and for lessons that lead us on. For the times when we are brought low by anxiety or adversity, show us the hidden wells of love we can tap into. Help us rise up once more, just once more, and once more again will surely be enough. Remind us we do not strive in vain, that we are part of a chorus, that resilience is in our bones, and that we believe peace will prevail on earth, and that healing and grace come like soft rain. Be an ever-present strength upon our journeys and teach us that in falling down we do rise again. This we ask in the name of community and in all that is holy. Amen, and blessed be.
Have another hymn for you to sing. And I'll mention that music in the offering is, it's from the Romeo and Juliet movie from '96. It was about, the tie-in with our service on sexuality. This next hymn also sings of deep, holy connection with each other. Please rise in body or spirit and sing with us. Thank you. Please be seated.
I've mentioned a few times before that I was raised in a conservative Catholic household. So you can kind of imagine that sexuality was forbidden, dangerous topic. Like even having impure thoughts was considered a sin. Needless to say, as a teenager, I was full of fear and guilt. Fast forward to my wedding, as I was married my Hindu fiance in a Catholic church, another story for another time. The priest hit us with Song of Solomon, which I used in my opening words this morning. Imagine priest standing up there going, "My beloved is like a gazelle or a young stag. Look, there he stands behind our wall, gazing in at the windows, looking through the lattice." Kind of a change in tone. And the whole ceremony was full of beautiful messages of love. And believe it or not, no guilt. So as the years went on, I had this internal tug of war pull me towards and away from Catholicism. And which side was pulling harder at any given time was usually determined by what kind of message the priest was giving, positive or negative. After a particularly negative experience for our family, the rope finally broke, and we began searching for a different kind of church. Full credit goes to my wife, who back then was the official researcher of the family. After a thorough investigation, she announced that we were going to the Unitarian Universalist Church, which at that point, all I knew is that was that, quote, hippie church. And although we were certainly drawn by the friendly, like-minded people, what really kept us going was the amazing religious education program for our kids. In particular, the Our Whole Lives curriculum. My children were taught that they were amazing, beautiful human beings that should be proud of who they are, regardless of gender or sexual identity. Much better than the guilt and fear of my childhood. Thank you.
So, thank you, John. Religion has often, as they've been alluding to, been a home for homophobia and for violence against LGBTQ folks, and many of you are here in part because Unitarian Universalism celebrates LGBTQ folks and sees queer love as sacred. And our next piece is from a concert-length work, it's about 105 minutes long, called Considering Matthew Shepard. And the composer, Craig Hella Johnson, writes that he composed it to pay tribute to a young gay man, Matthew Shepard, whose heartbreaking death in 1998 pierced the hearts of countless people around the world. And this movement begins the epilogue of that piece. It's near the end, and after this very difficult story, it asks, where do we go from here? And the answer begins, meet me here. Carolyn Allenby is our soloist.
Meet me here. Won't you meet me here? Where the old fence ends and the horizon begins. There's a balm in the silence, like an understanding air. Where the old fence ends and the horizon begins. We've been walking through the darkness on this long, hard climb, carried ancestral sorrow that we've been friends forever, that we've never been alone. We'll sing on through any darkness, and our song will be our sign. We can learn to offer praise again, coming home to the light.
Aren't you all glad you don't have to preach after that? When my mother was growing up, she thought you could get pregnant from sleeping in a bed that somebody else previously slept in, someone of any gender. Why did she think this? Because the moment that a guest left her childhood house, her mother would run, and I mean run, up the stairs and strip the bed of the sheets and go immediately and wash them. And my mother wasn't allowed to go anywhere near those sheets. So she figured there must be something really awful in those sheets. What could be so awful? Well, her childhood self said, well, maybe that's how you get pregnant. Luckily for me and my sister, this was one of the reasons she wanted us to be very well informed about our bodies and healthy age-appropriate sexual education. I am so grateful to her about this. She stopped the generational messages of shame and secrecy and hiding that her mother and her mother and her mother before her had received, and made sure that her daughters were informed differently. This is a good thing, because at the same time, the messages I was receiving, both from culture and religion, were very confusing. I was both supposed to be a good girl, but I was also supposed to be sexy and attractive. I was supposed to be careful about people of the other gender. Surprise, they found out later that that didn't matter as much. But I was also supposed to do all I could to attract them. It was very confusing and very conflicting messages. And then came the 80s, and the increasing power of focus on the family and all of the offshoots of that were more and more tying religion into traditional family values, whatever the hell that means. With it, all of the message of abstinence and purity and chastity came with it. More and more, it felt like the religious message was that sex was evil, or at least something forbidden until you walked through that magic portal called marriage. Absolutely forbidden beforehand, but then all of a sudden, you were supposed to magically change to have a prolific and healthy sex life as soon as you walked through. Boom, just like that. Luckily, by the 80s, I was already a burgeoning feminist, and also the messages like these I was hearing was pushing me further and further away from the Christianity that I knew. It was one of the main reasons that I struggled with Christianity as a youth. But I figured that the Bible said sex was bad, and honestly, that made me less interested in the Bible. But these messages were very confusing for a young woman who was trying to figure out a whole bunch of things. I want to acknowledge that religion, especially Christianity, for many of us, has created a lot of shame around sexuality through several different messages. And these aren't happenstance. They have been used and they have been theologized, I made that word up, to tell us several messages. One, that sex is equated with moral danger. That the story of Adam and Eve reinforces that disobedience and nakedness are shameful. That there is a deep cultural link between sex and guilt. By tying a woman's sexual purity to her family or the culture's moral honor. Christianity has used the threat of hell as a punishment for abandoning any of the sexual mores that it lists. And maybe even worse, it helped create a disconnection between the body and the spirit. It actually says that the body is a lesser part, making any bodily activity less important than spiritual activity. But one of the things that I preach about a lot here and that I have learned is that there is more than one story in everything, including religion, and nothing is as simple as it seems. And so I wanted to look for where religions, all world religions, including Christianity, can promote healthy sexuality and intimacy. I can acknowledge that there has been a lot of harm done by religion, and like most things, that is not the only story. And as a Unitarian Universalist, I get to choose where I put my attention. Personally, I choose not to put my attention where shame is centered, and I do choose to put my attention where it is centered in love, creativity, and generosity. So, in my own personal exploration in theology and as your minister, I want to shine some light there. And I also have done a lot of work to realize that there are several distinctions about religion that we often, and I would say, especially as Unitarian Universalists, we often conflagrate together, and that I still struggle to separate. There is the Word, and in Greek, it's called logos, actually the Word. For Christians, it is the Bible, the Old Testament and the New Testament. In Judaism, it's the Torah. In Islam, it's the Quran. These are the sacred texts of these religions. And other religions have sacred texts as well as a litany of gods and goddesses and interpretations of religion that all could be considered the Word, right? The actual word of what is said. From the Word comes the religion. These are the powers and the structures that use the words to help explain them to the people. Sometimes they are just about the words, and sometimes they take on meaning beyond the words. This is where humans take the words and interpret them, sometimes to help people become more moral and ethical people, and sometimes to reinforce specific ideologies or principles. It also includes the many different translations of the word, which makes it even harder to understand what the word is, because the translation also sways the word towards different religious perspectives. And then the third element is the culture. This is the culture in which the religion sits. The culture often influences on how those in the religion interpret the word. Are you all tracking with me so far? Okay. So they may employ religion in making their case. For example, Focus on the Family started the focus on abortion, making a religious case that it hadn't been made as strongly before. So those are three different lenses. They can connect with each other, they can influence each other, but they are separate. So for example, in 2025, we can look at white evangelical Christianity. It is sitting more squarely within a white Christian nationalistic culture. So often the Word, the Bible, is being interpreted by leaders, the religion, to reinforce a nationalistic worldview, which is the culture. All right? So with all of that, we often can be confused on how these three are conflagrated. And I can't tell you how many of you have mentioned to me that Jesus actually tells people that they should welcome the foreigner, treat the least of these as the most esteemed, and resist the empire. And I say, yes, the word says that. And for you all, you want that to be the end of the story. The word says that, so therefore that's true, therefore Christianity is bad, and therefore this is all a mess, right? Yes, yes, yes it is, you're right. But it is far more complicated than that, because that is what the word says, but the religion may be focusing in different areas influenced by the culture. We often treat it as a simple answer, and I promise you it is anything but simple. So ironically, it often leaves us UUs as saying, but the Bible says, and I love that so much because we're using the Bible as a moral code and reinforcing that, which feels odd and ironic and amazing sometimes. And I think that part of what I want to do is to do that about sex as well. I want to show you that the words of many religions are not only damaging, that there are words that are more pro-healthy sexuality than we may think, and I want to shine a light on those. The words may say something different than the religion and the culture that is using religion to clobber people around healthy sexuality. My aim or hope from this is that you may be able to look at it differently, or that you may be able to heal some of the damage that you have experienced from religion. Or maybe that you can recognize the messages that you are hearing may be more religious or cultural than just the word. Or maybe that you can have the reassurance that some of your personal views are supported by sacred words and beliefs of some of the world's religions. Or maybe it will help you to shine your own light on what is life-giving versus what is shameful and life-taking. Many people already believe that sexuality is sacred. It's sacred because it is part of the glory of the universe. It is something that increases the novelty, the creativity, and the diversity in the world. It is a tool for joy, creativity, and connection. It is a miracle that helps our species continue. I love that we have a pregnancy announcement on this Sunday, and it is also a critical part of the experience of being human. So sit back, enjoy, soak in some of the positive messages as a balm to counteract the many negative energies we may have otherwise experienced. So in Judaism and also in Christianity, as John mentioned, much of the positivity of sexuality comes from that one area, the Song of Solomon, also known as the Song of Songs. This is from the Torah, which is also Christianity's Old Testament. The poem doesn't just talk about the union of humans, but it also references 25 varieties of trees, shrubs, flowers, herbs, fruits, and spices. It also celebrates animals as diverse as the dove, the fox, the lion, and the raven. It talks about the eroticism of eating and drinking, of entering a garden and playing in a bed of leaves. There is a remarkable balance between humans and nature rather than the centering of humans in the universe. It describes all of this as holy. And interestingly, it has no mention of God anywhere in it. In the Christian Gospels, mostly known as the New Testament, Jesus doesn't actually speak about sex or sexuality at all. You won't find anything in those red letter words. But of course, Christian leaders throughout the centuries have weighed in on what the Bible does say about certain things, regardless of what Jesus actually said. And to be clear, many of those Christian scholars focused on some of those negative messages about sexuality I mentioned earlier, but not all of them. One of the most influential Christian scholars, Thomas Aquinas, linked the goodness of our sexuality to the goodness of creation, even from his time of working in the Middle Ages. Essentially, he said that sexuality can't be made because it is a part of our nature, and it is indeed how creation continues. He referred to the Bible where he said, God saw all the things that God had made, and they were very good. And he made the case that there was no way that sexuality couldn't be included in that. In India, there are Hindu temples everywhere. Karen and I have gotten the joy of getting to see that. On their way to work, people just stop into temples. Their religion is a 24/7, not just a Sunday morning thing. But there is often sacred sexuality in these temples and statues, especially in the temples that feature Shiva, one of the most powerful Hindu goddesses. With Shiva, sex is exalted, and there are often carvings of genitalia in them, much to the horror of Western eyes. Where Western eyes see obscenities, the Hindi are very comfortable with them as the representation of the source of life. Shiva represents the generative power of all that is seen in nature in general. And it is not surprising or concerning at all. It is as natural as the hills and the sun. Kama, which is where the Kama Sutra comes from, is one of Hinduism's 4 aims of life. Enjoyment of pleasure, including sexual pleasure, is considered part of a balanced and meaningful life. And as many of us have heard of the Kama Sutra, which was published in the year 400 of the Common Era, many of us think of it as a sexual book, but it was created as a spiritual book about love, mutual pleasure, and respect. So maybe look at Hinduism. Islam has a very, very heterocentric references. And I want to name that part of it, that it can talk positively about sex, but it is all done within the context of a man and his wife. And it talks about marriage being the container for sex, mostly as a tool to prevent emotional and physical harm, unwanted pregnancies, and STDs. So acknowledging that, beyond that, it is quite prescriptive on how sex should be looking at. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, spoke of sex as an act that can earn spiritual award when done with care and consent. He was also quite clear that women should not be rushed and that their pleasure is very important. What a radical thought. He specifically says that a woman has a right to her own pleasure and that foreplay is encouraged. Muhammad, blessed be his name, said this. Furthermore, there is a missive that sex should be playful, encouraging, and active. It should create mutual relationship and involving multiple ways to receive that pleasure. Sexual satisfaction, Muslims believed, leads to a harmonious social order and a flourishing civilization. In Taoism, sex is considered a vehicle for enlightenment. The second chakra, how many of you know about your chakras? Yes, so you know about the second chakra, right? It is where the sexual organs are, and it is seen as the place where the flow of energy happens between not just people, but also between people and the cosmos. Turning to that chakra connects you to the grace of all of creation. Also, often in Taoism, it is hetero-oriented, but it can also be interpreted more broadly than just gender. It is believed in the power of the yin and the yang, the male and the female energy, that we all have all of it and that we are always trying to balance it. It was a metaphor for sexual energy, but it can apply to all aspects of life and creation. Overall, the award goes to the pagan or earth-based traditions to being most favorable to sex. Pagan traditions view sex as sacred, natural, and a source of divine energy. They see it as a positive way to connect to the divine, to the earth, and each other. They see the connection between humans and all living other things as natural and beautiful. Beltane, which you might know as May Day, actually celebrates the spirit and act of sex in creation of plants and animals and humans. The ribbons of the maypole replicate the sacred act of sex, and May Day baskets are metaphorical bounties to sustain a couple as they go into the woods and explore their sexual relationship. Furthermore, paganism, especially neo-paganism, sees sexuality not only in traditional forms, but seeing all loving, consensual adult relationships as holy, no matter the gender or formation of that relationship. While there is holy in the feminine, masculine, there is a lot of crossover as well. Overall, again, there's no doubt that religion has been used negatively to reinforce patriarchy, misogyny, and heteronormative narratives, but that is not all they say. As Unitarian Universalists, we have the opportunity to explore the wisdom of many traditions, learning not just the words, but also exploring how those words have been used in the religion and the culture. And we also have the opportunity, maybe even the moral imperative, to explore how religion has been used as a weapon against healthy sexuality and to find ways to reclaim it in consensual, adult acts of pleasure that are holy and divine. In all of these examples we've explored, we can see the following: that the act of sex mirrors what the divine has created, that it is creativity and union, and that it is seen over and over in the natural world, and that it is natural, necessary, and beautiful. That two, acts of pleasure and love are gifts that we can give each other. That as much as some talk about them as temptations, that does not align with the experience that so many people have experienced and that are so many other ways of seeing pleasure in the world. Three, mutuality and respect are sacred duties. However it is that you define sex, it should be something done with respect, compassion, care, and an eye towards building relationship, not breaking it down. And four, the body is divine. It was created with this beautiful way to have pleasure. And not only that, that pleasure can be akin to a spiritual act. It is an opportunity to unite the body and the spirit, a unique and divine gift. I would have wished that knowledge for my mother. I wish it for each and every one of you, no matter how you were raised and no matter what messages you received from religion. I wish those messages for our children. I wish every single person a life without shame or a sense that they are anything but whole and holy and beautiful. I believe that it is not just a religious imperative for us as Unitarian Universalists, but a moral one for us as humans. May it be so in our upcoming generations with us and with all of those who we love. May it be so.
Amen. So we close today with an old Gullah song from the Georgia Sea Islands. It's called Ain't You Got a Right to the Tree of Life. And it is a call and response. I'll do the call. You respond with the choir. Check it out. Ain't you got a right? Yes, we've all got a right. Yes, we've all got a right to the tree of life. That's your part there. Pick any note. So the tree of life, you know, is in the biblical story about the Garden of Eden, the magic tree that grants eternal life. And usually when we hear about a tree in the Garden of Eden, it's the tree of knowledge, which is used as a metaphor for sex and how knowing about sex is bad. Some interpretations say these were two separate magical trees, but other interpretations say they were one tree with two names, and I prefer that interpretation. In this song, I hear our right to life and to knowledge. Including knowledge about sex. And so, yeah, it's a call and response, so we're not going to put up lyrics. No matter what I sing, your response is, ain't you got a right, ain't you got a right, ain't you got a right to the tree of life. Feel free to stand. Here we go. Ain't you got a right? Ain't you got a right? Yes, we've all got a right. Ain't you got a right? Yes, we've all got a right to the tree of life. To the tree of life. My life will be sweeter. So sweet someday. Yes, we've all got a right to the tree of life. About the tree of life. So rock is the road, so dangerous is the journey. Yeah, we've all got a right to the tree of life. There's homes for the homeless. We can feed all the hungry. We can feed all the children with the tree of life. You can tell all my sisters. You can tell my brothers too. You can tell it to the world. The tree of life. Oh, ain't you got a right? Yes, we've all got a right. Yeah, we've all got a right to the tree of life.
After service ends, noon-ish activities, including our children's programs. We ran a little long, but it was worth it for this music, right? Including our children's ministry program, will be listed on the screen. Please join us for coffee hour with food and refreshments in our community space just across the patio. Reverend Christine, please close our service.
Unitarian Universalist Wayne Arneson says, "Take courage, my friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are so very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. Go in peace, go in love."